So let's go right into the rail trail. Just give us an update on the rail trail.
Okay, so we recently spoke with Congressman Delgado and Senator Charles Schumer's office, and they're both very committed to the rail trail, as we are. If you remember last year, Congressman Delgado gave us the $1.1 million to do the bridge over the Neversink in Fallsburg, which gives us a continuous 15-mile part of the trail, which is fantastic. It's a little less than a quarter of the project. Mr. Schumer's office is looking to give us more money to do a part up in Parksville, which is, I believe, your district. It's from Sonoma Falls out for 7 miles. I don't know if anyone here has ever been to Sonoma Falls, but take the drive. It is impressive. And you can hike up all the way into the back. It's very, very nice. And then the other part that we're working on right now is the spur that goes around Monticello, because we feel that through social equity that, Monticello should have their own trail, which is part of the whole trail, but a lot of times it gets forgotten. Alan Sorensen is a very big proponent of it, and he's pushing hard to get that spur done, before his term ends in a year and a half.
Let's move on to Move Sullivan and their expansion plans.
Yeah, I think this is great. So expanding it is not just about money. You have to have you have to get the buses, but number two is you have to send in your plans to the DOT, and then they have to approve them. So we're looking to expand in two certain areas. We're looking to expand the bus system, which we're committed to continue to grow throughout Sullivan County. As a rural county, it's very difficult for people to work, get to school, get to the hospital, get to doctor's appointments without a bus service. So we have a new part of it that's been approved by the DOT that goes from Monticello down 17B, down 55, through Congyonga Lake, up through Swan Lake and into Liberty. So that would connect Monticello to Liberty through Bethel and Swan Lake, which I think would be very helpful. Again, when we do these things, it's not just for 3 months out of the year, it's for 12 months out of the year. So when we expand, we try to get the most people and who it would affect the most. And then the other part is down in Blumenberg, which has grown by over 11%, from census to census. And if you go to any planning board meetings in Mamakain, you'll see that they're looking to expand further than that. You try to go where the biggest population moves are to move it, but you still gotta have to think about your rural residents as well.
And that is the largest growth area in our county.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
So speaking about our county, Sullivan County is ranked number 2 in the region in job growth.
Yes.
And speak to that.
As we grow, Laura Quigley has done an excellent job, as she's done for years and years and years. She's also in charge of community resources, which is encompassing the whole county as a whole, to see how job development goes from the while you're still in high school through seniors. She's in charge of the different types of work that come to the county. It's very important. We have long conversations about the development of the workforce, which is very important in Sullivan County. The bus system is very important. Move Sullivan is a very important component of that, and oddly enough, Laura Quigley's it has to do with that also, because it's very important to be able to move the workforce to the work areas. So as we do a better job as a county of being able to move the workforce, it creates more job opportunities for people who before did not have the job opportunities because they just couldn't get to work, and they couldn't get the education to get the work that they need. So working together, we're able to put it all the puzzle, all the pieces of the puzzle together, and have a better workforce, and that's why it's growing.
And another great example with Laura and her team. All you got to do is sit in a room with Laura and start talking about this stuff, and you can see the passion and the knowledge. It's so evident.
Oh, it bubbles over.
Yeah, and it's just another example, like Ed was earlier, of some great folks that we have in the county. Now, speaking of Sullivan County in the whole sense, if
Yeah.
you will, we have finished up our first half of our term,
That's true.
and speak to what we've accomplished
Okay.
as a legislature, and the highlights, and then to follow up on that, what you see, what we want to work on going forward.
Okay,
these
so
last 2 years.
So one of the things that when we were running, myself, you, George Conklin from District 5, Nikki from District 4, we were the new guys coming into the legislature, and we were committed to prudent financial management, and we ran with some other people, and we went to different events with other people, and when you run, you're part of a political party, but all politics aside, we decided that we were going to run our county, to change the culture of how we think about spending money, and that was I think that's been the tipping point for the county, is that we no longer believe that borrowing money is the correct way to run a county. We believe that living within your means, and sometimes you get in fights with people who are in your party over what seems like a nominal amount of money. I mean, $10,000-$20,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when there's 10-15 of them lined up, it starts becoming a lot of money. I remember our first budget meeting, someone said, it was $500,000 was the differential in what we were arguing about. And they said, it's only $500,000 in a $215 million budget. And I was shocked by that statement. And then, I remember going back to your office after that and was like, are these people crazy? I mean, it's a lot of money. By being financially prudent, it sets you up to be able to do other things that we've never done before, like not bond money. When you don't bond for roads, you then don't have to pay that interest, which then can be used for other services. And people don't see the aggregate. They just see their particular part of it. Right? And you have to get beyond your particular part of it, and you have to look at everything as a whole, because that's the important part of being a legislator. You obviously have to fight for your district, but you're also there, trying to put a puzzle together, to make it so that the whole county can move forward. And I don't think anyone's ever looked at it like that before.
No, it's been refreshing. From a personal standpoint, I've been involved for quite a while, whether folks know a school board, town board, now county legislature. And when the new guys were running, we talked a lot about that financial piece of the county and having a more conservative approach to it, allowing us to look further down the road to grow, but kind of reallocate where some of that money was going as well. And early on, as everyone knows, Rob is our chairman, and we looked to Rob as the person who could dedicate and had the passion to put the time in and work with folks. And sometimes it's difficult. It can get emotional. People are invested, but Rob has spearheaded a lot of what we've done and talked to those different folks, and has talked to Representative Delgado and Schumer's office, and he's here often, more than any one of us are. And I want to thank you for the job you've done. And collectively, we're all in this together. I mean, at the end of the day, we're one of 9, any one of us. But I feel proud of the first couple of years.
Well, so do I.
There were times it was difficult, but I think we are on a very good trajectory. So let's just talk about the last couple of years.
Okay, so, and again, I thank my fellow legislators who have voted for me twice to be chairman. I thank you for your confidence. I think one of the things that we're most successful about is we don't trade for votes. And that, in political terms, is unheard of. We never trade votes. We never say, I'll give you this if you give me that. We never do that. We discuss the items, we put it out there, and if it's good enough to pass on its own, it's good enough to pass on its own. So you look at the care center, and it's a heated issue because people are passionate because they're talking about their parents. You're talking about infirmed parents, and of course people are going to get jacked up about it. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything different, but I'm lucky enough that I can sit back and make a decision that's not emotional based. My parents aren't in there. It's not that it's cut and dry to me, but it's what's best for the county moving forward. And losing $12.5 million annually is not good for the county. It prevents you from being able to not bond roads and borrow money. I mean, basically, the county was living on a credit card. And this legislature in 2 very short years has gotten us to stop living on a credit card, which is very important. Over the next 2 to 6 to 10 years, you will see how that affects the whole county in such a positive manner where you don't have to pay debt service. That is what was choking this county forever and restricting us from doing a lot of the projects that we wanted to do.
Okay, Rob, last topic for today is redistricting.
Well, this is a topic that, in the month of May is, it's going to be everywhere on Facebook, it's going to be everywhere in the newspaper, it's going to be everywhere. This is a very big topic. It's, happens every 10 years. You change, the legislative district lines, right? So there's always been a lot of jockeying involved in this. 20 years ago when they did it, they got 3 maps. The legislature didn't like those maps, and they paid another $25,000 to get 3 more maps, which is just crazy to me. But then 10 years ago, when my predecessor was chairman, they formed a committee with 2 from the minority, 2 from the majority, 1 from the minority, and then they picked the map that they liked out of the 3 maps that they were given, and then they just gave it to the 2 caucuses, and of course the majority caucus said yes, we'll go with these maps, and they went with those maps. I mean, so we're going to do a little differently this time. We're going to get our 3 maps, and we're going to put them all out to the public. All 3 maps will go out to the public, and then they will be voted on. All 3 maps will be voted on, and obviously whichever map gets the most votes is going to win, right? The most positive votes, will win. So what to expect from the maps? As legislators, we don't have an input. You pay a company and they tell you what the maps are, right? And it's based on population. And it's if you want to get granular about it, there's these things called cells that are inside of every single district. There's something like 36,000 cells inside the county. It's very granular. But to give you the 10,000 foot view of it is you take someone like George Conklin from District 5. He lost 12% of his electorate, right? So, the mean is 8,594 people. So you have to, be plus or minus 5% of that, right? So you're going to take someone like, Mr. Conklin, whose district is going to change drastically. I mean, he lost over 900 people out of his district. So how do you make up 900 people? It's very difficult. The western side shrunk by a lot. You take your district, which currently is Neversink, the town of Rockland, and then Liberty 3. Your district shrunk by 9%. So now where do you go to get more people, right? So there's new rules involved. It has to be continuous. It has to have similar issues. You cannot district someone out of their district. You cannot put 2 people from the minority party in the same district. So there's lots of rules involved now, which we didn't have before. But I mean, overall, I think, looking at the maps, there's going to be some wholesale changes, and people just need to, pick the best map, for themselves. The districts on the western side, geographically, are going to get tremendously larger, and the north, and then the districts on the eastern side, geographically speaking, are going to get significantly smaller. So, there's going to be some hooting and hollering about it, but I mean, obviously everyone's going to get to see the maps. They're all going to be public, and you're going to be able to vote on each map individually, and whichever one gets the most is the one who wins.
Yeah, just the takeaway, obviously, is there's going to be change. The population shifts in the last 10 years.
Correct. Well, the main reason why there has been such a significant shift is the rise of the Airbnb, the short-term rentals on the western side of the county, as more and more homes that were rented out to families are now becoming Airbnbs, because you can make more money as an Airbnb than just renting it on a monthly basis. People don't live in those homes anymore, and so now they're being shifted over to the eastern side of the county, and then we have had a large influx of people on the eastern side of the county as well. So, I mean, I think you look at someone like Ira Steingart, legislator from District 8, I think his grew by 14%. Joe Perello from District 7, his grew by about 15%. So, obviously they're not going to have the same land mass that's going to shrink, and, you live in a certain spot and it shrinks around where you live.
Around you, yeah.
Correct.
All right, Rob, thank you. And
Thank you, Mike.
so
You're the best.
that wraps up our April edition of Let's Talk Sullivan. We talked a little bit today about our first half and some of the things to look forward to in the second half. But it's been our first half. Obviously, the big event was COVID, and shortly after we took office, COVID was in full swing. And if you look back then, nobody knew quite what to expect. This was new for this generation, and we handle it well. It threw an upheaval into every aspect of our lives. But here we are. This could be the first summer that things are getting back to normal. Not a new normal, but getting back to normal. And we look forward to that. We look forward to the next 2 years and to talk more about the issues in front of us and why we do things. And that was the message that we gave people when we were running, and we will continue to do that. So with that, thank you for joining us, and bye for now.